Well, I've been studying the fit of the unit into the cavity. Now this is my silver bullet cavity, which is identical to the one that Leon's provided. I definitely do not want to use his shell because it's painted. There is a mold stub, I guess you'd call it, or something there where they shoot the injection plastic in, and it was a glob and hung down, so I ground that down as flat as I dared, just to give us a maximum space through there. And I unhooked the wiring and just tried to lay the wires down wherever they could go to see if I could fit this in. And it's about the width of that little tang there, that width, whatever that is, a millimeter, 2 millimeters. It's very close. Now when you look at this, the gray board is the adapter, and that's pretty low. That's about as low as we can get it. And up here is the PCB, but remember, this is a breadboard. This is a board I built from scratch. It has gobs of wiring on the bottom, which gives thickness, right? And it has gobs of wiring on top, which is just messy. And I really don't have a nice way of holding these soundboards either, so that got clumsy. I came up with an attachment method here, and I'm going to probably use that over in the new. Well, I'm printing a new bracket right now in red, just because it's red on the machine. But I'm printing a new bracket. I'm lowering the speaker down here, lowering that little footrest so it'll be down low, and I'm adding these side pieces here to hold this board straight. But I'm to the point now where the best thing I can do is actually reduce this to a real PCB, and a real board. If I can show you here. This is a real PCB board. This is one Andy designed for us, and all the track, there's no wiring. The only wiring is here and here, and you plug into it. All the components are there. We knew we had space, what we had space for. So that these need to be laid down. I built this one for a different engine, so those should be down flat. You can see all this is flat, so this sticking up is probably part of it. This sticking up is part of it. These sticking up is part of it. And then all this glob of wire has to be refined. Now I knew the wiring was going to have to be refined, but I wanted to make sure I didn't have any other structural issues, and clearly I do. Oh, I pulled off a speaker wire. Damn. Well, that's a thing. When you do these fittings, the wires, you just shouldn't really have the wire, but you have to have the wire to know what you need to wire. But I used robust wiring, okay, and I'm going to have to backtrack. I'm going to have to go back to a thinner wire. It's actually not thinner. It's the same capacity in amps and all. It's solid copper, but as you can see, it's thinner. It's speaker wire, 24 gauge, I think, speaker wire. It's good wire, okay? So I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to do it. I don't know that I can even make this board work because it's so fat and globby and ugly. I think I'm going to have to try to design a board. I think that's where I'm at. I've got to design this puff and chuff board and get the thickness down and the width where it will fit in the cavity that I have. I've gone over a lot of numbers earlier today, drew some models. How tall is it? When does it get narrow? What's the shape I'm trying to fit into it? What are my options as I come in? And I had to turn this board on an angle like that just to get the thing to slide in, and then once it was in, I was able to set it down flat in position. But then I couldn't get the tang. The tang was like right here, up here, and I couldn't push it high enough to get it to slide in. It just wouldn't give me enough room to slide into this tab here, the tab into that groove. The ideal thing is that the tab is actually on this engine and it sticks out and you can reach it with a screw head. You can't. These are the way this is, and it's really unfair because for me it's unfair. You leave me like no room to slide bulky electronics in. Everything has to be that narrow just in that one spot to get through. Then I can move it around a little bit, and it's like, oh God, I've been through this before with other engines, but not one that had this much electronics sitting on top of the fields. I've never crammed so much electronics in the engine compartment. I usually just go ahead and bite the bullet and put it all in the back and run 8 wires forward. I really don't want to do that. If I did anything, I could put the sound system in the back maybe, but that buys me some. It may buy me some height, but I don't think it's enough. And then lay the boards out. I mean, that's another option. I could breadboard that and see if that works, but I think the real answer is to design that PCB, do it right, and shrink it down so that it fits. We have the puff and chuff. The relay is still sticky. I bang it and it goes off. So I'm gonna have to come up with some idea on why that is. And then I'm not sure. It's either rearrange everything in another breadboard. I just try to be neater, put all the wiring on one side or something like that, and then or design the board. It's a frustrating thing for me because it's not my strong suit, but I think I'm just going to have to dig in and do it. I mean, I have time. This is it. Now's the time. Design the board. You're going to use it on every engine that does not have the mechanical or doesn't want the mechanical chuff, which I'm shocked how many people tell me I hate the mechanical chuff. I'm sick of hearing it for 55, 60 years. Okay, fine. So we'll work on that. I'll work on that board. It's 4:15. I have time. I'm printing a new piece. It'll be red. It'll have some extra tabs and allow the speaker to go down. When that's done, I'm going to do a test fit, and then I'll start laying the new board out on paper, and then I will try to get that into the computer as a PC board. I guess that's what I can do. All right. Fine. I got this from Ross Kerr, a guy in Virginia. It broke off his tab on his trucks, and he didn't know what to do. He thought maybe I could fix it for him. Well, I traded him one. I had one that this was all one piece instead of two. And then I cranked up my soldering iron to about 275. Well, you can see where the pliers were. I cranked it up to 275, prepped it, and put some solder in there. And it seems like it's going to hold okay. I've done this with some linkages before. And if you prep them with a little thin coat and then mash them and heat the snot out of them, they tend to, the whole surface just welds more or less with the solder, and it becomes very strong. So you can repair things like that. The other thing I found when I was doing my search for engines to run, clean up and stuff, I found this. This is a early reverse and boiler, and there is no gear. Some of them have a gear, some don't. This one does not. And without a gear, there's no way to run the smoke. So I was working. This is an older design. I actually put an extra worm gear on the motor and then created a gear, hung it above it so that gear would rotate. But what I have done since is go back to requiring this gear and make it mandatory that you have that gear to do puff and chuff, because all this other stuff is just too kludgy, too ugly. So what I think I'm going to have to do here is go ahead and take all this off, and I'm going to cut a notch Um, if I can explain this, it'd be a miracle. Here's one. I'll explain it this way. You see that cavity where this gear sits, right? There's a cavity, a hole down there, and all that. I'm going to make that cavity up here. I'm going to take it apart, put it over on my machine, and I'm going to run a tool down, back and forth, nice and easy, taking that metal away, nice and easy. And I'm going to end up with a cavity so that my my puff and chuff frame, which I have here, I have another version of that frame. I'm not sure where I put it. It's not in the garbage like this one. But what it has, and instead of this groove here, it has a boss and a wheel, a gear. And that gear, when you set that down in here, that gear looks sort of like that, and it fits right where it's supposed to on the drives to get the drive motor worm to turn it, but it's attached to this piece instead of the chassis. Alright, so if we do that, then all my puff and chuff, same puff and chuff stuff would work on this engine. And instead of me trying to put a gear in like this, and now I got to add the tech to make it work, and I'm just not going to do it. Not doing it. The hell with it. So this becomes another exercise in a variation of the whole concept of using what we have and reusing it across the models and making adjustments. Now, machining a slot wasn't what I had in mind at any time in this whole exercise as I've gone through it, but it's come to mind that there are a lot of these frames, a lot of these chassis out here that are this way. That is, they don't have the gear. They don't even have the gear. And then if they don't, the only thing I can do is put the groove in and put this on with the gear, and then puff and chuff and take off and go. You know, I haven't tried it with this smoke sitting here. That looks like that might be a problem, doesn't it? Yeah, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Anyway, I have a few of these, and I have a fair amount of K5. You know, the K5, I don't know if it's underrated or underappreciated, but the K5 is a hell of an engine. I mean, just look at the detail this thing is cast with. It's just amazing detail. And the fact that it has the 4-piece front end and the trailing truck and a complex linkage and all that, it has a lot going for it. I really like these engines. I must have 10 of these shells. I don't know how I get them or where they come from, but I don't have enough chassis, but I'm going to start using chassis. I may have to build a chassis. I talked about it once. I never got that far with it, but I may have to, because I like the K5s a lot. I'm going to be building one of those next. That way we'll have the 300, the 290, the 336, and then a 312. And I do have a Hudson, by the way. I have a Hudson that's a basket case, so I'll be building one of those too as soon as I can. So it looks like I'm going to turn into a PC board designer for a day or two, which won't be too exciting. I don't know what I'll be able to show you in between, but I'll try to think of something I can run or show you how it works. Okay, that's it. That's what I'm going to have to do. Talk to you guys later. Have a good day. What is today? Sunday. Oh, Sunday night. Sometimes there's good TV on. I don't know. If not, I can study how to design a board. Huh? Oh, here, I was looking at this. Oh, that's metal. Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. You know, it's got a big dink in it, too, doesn't it? But it does look a little taller. It does look taller somehow. Maybe it is. I don't know. At any rate, these tabs in there are just, boy, they cause us to have to be narrow at the wrong spot. Tough, tough, tough. All right. We'll figure out. See, I need that. I'm going to need that board for mine. I'm going to need it for Leon's. I'm going to need it for any of these others. And besides, we want to make other engines new, you know. So we're going to have this done right. So there it is. All right. That's it. I'm done.